Welcome to Storytime at the Roo-Bus, a weekly podcast about the Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival. I'm your host, Sharla.
And I'm Daniel. Sharla, did you have a nice little break after we got back from Burning Man?
I did. We didn't really have too much of a break, though. We did have a Patreon-only bonus episode in there.
Yeah, we did. You and I get a little bit more loosey-goosey with those episodes, and I think we're more prone to share tea and gossip with those sometimes, you know?
Well, really just some silly stories that we put in there.
Yeah, basically.
And it is in the Patreon rewards that you get access to bonus episodes throughout the year.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that as we get closer to the main content we have for this week. So this week, I thought it was a good time to kind of go back a couple of years and think about the anniversary of something that just cropped up. So it's, halfway through September now, and we just had the remnants of a hurricane pass through here in the South. So that sounded a little familiar.
It did, yes.
Those of you that remember long enough know about 3 years ago, we were going to have a September-Roo after things got, moved around during the pandemic and everything. And it turns out that didn't happen because a hurricane basically hit a hole-in-one after it came through Louisiana and then over the farm. So we couldn't have a Bonnaroo even then because it got flooded out. But the cool thing was, so many of us had our own little DIY Bonnaroo, speakeasy-roo, mini-roo, whatever you want to call it. We had one at our good friend Lindsey's place. We have him and Shaina on this week. Shaina also tells us a cool story about what her and many of her loophole friends did 3 years ago. And she actually had kind of like a reunion for one of those kind of deals this past week, too. So we've got both of them on this week in the main part of the episode to kind of look back on that. Charlotte, I was talking with them in the interview that you're going to hear after me and you get done BSing here, that I felt like that week really strengthened the community in a lot of ways that we didn't initially expect.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And I met so many awesome and amazing people that week as well that I never would have met.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to steal most of the thunder with the talk that we already had with Lindsey and Shaina. You'll have to hear that too because you were in here. I had that talk with them from the back porch. So you get to listen to your own episode later.
I do. I'm excited.
Yeah. What else has been going on for you?
Just working and getting ready for the next couple of weeks. We will have South Star coming up, and about 12, 13 people are going to be staying with us that weekend.
Oh, gosh.
So just very excited to host our friends from all over the country staying with us at our house.
Yeah, and we have, I'm sorry to say, probably about 3 or 4 times as many people coming to our house that Friday. We're going to have a little mini-roo party of our own in the backyard.
True, yeah.
Yeah, so South Star is finally starting to come together. It's right on the horizon. It's a little less than 2 weeks away now. I'm pretty excited. We've talked about this before on the show and elsewhere. It's been a long time since we had something like that here in the Rocket City here in Huntsville. It goes all the way back to Big Spring Jam. You and I talked about that in kind of the Welcome to Huntsville episode we did a month or so ago. I feel like there's some growing pains for the local audience.
Oh, definitely. There's just the comments that I'm seeing out there. Oh, it's wild.
It's going to
That's all I'm going to say.
It's going to be interesting to see a lot of people go to an event like this that don't go as typically as many of us do.
Right.
So, we know the deal going to a camping festival or a city festival. You know the do's and don'ts. But there's going to be a lot of people here in Madison County that haven't been to one in years and things have evolved, or maybe they've never been to one at all. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of the people, and I say this lovingly, I don't have a problem with them. I just feel a lot of people are going to have a deer in the headlights look for the first couple of hours at South Star.
I think the wildest comment that I saw out there was someone thought that they had to pick a stage and stay at that stage the entire day.
What? Why? Why would you think that? I know it can be tough. You can't really totally prepare somebody if they're new at this. You can't hold their hand through the whole day. They have to learn a lot of things themselves. I know we're trying to fix some of those problems with Totem for a camping festival like Bonnaroo, but a city festival, it's a little bit of a different animal. So we'll just see how it goes. I just feel like there's going to be a lot of people with a deer in the headlights look, but I really do feel like they're going to get it pretty quickly. How about you?
Oh, yeah, I agree. I agree as well.
Yeah, we got some tea today. Apparently, we're not going to get Jane's Addiction after all.
Yeah, they said that they're going to replace Jane's Addiction.
With who, though? I don't know.
It hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe by the time you're listening to this, there's a replacement. But I feel like when a lot of us saw that video of the fight on stage, we were like, yeah, we're not going to get them, are we? It was pretty self-evident at that point.
That was wild.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Some places had mentioned that there were sound issues. Maybe there's something else going on. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I personally have never been that familiar with Jane's Addiction.
Me neither. I don't know anything about them.
I know.
I'll be honest.
I know a few songs, but
Well, yeah, obviously, but
I'm not trying to age myself or anyone else, but I feel like they're more of a Gen X band, and that's not really us. We're like elder millennials around here, you know? Like, I feel like I've heard a song or two when I hear like a modern rock station that doesn't actually play modern rock. I think
they're a little older than us.
I did want to see them. I am a little bummed about it, but I'm anticipating that we'll get somebody good because they were basically like a sub-headliner for Saturday.
Yeah.
I had been pushing.
They were like the third one down.
Yeah, I think so. Were they second after Gwen Stefani? They were third?
Third, yeah.
Well, I had been saying, hey, apparently King Gizzard is available. I don't know. Someone else on our Discord, I can't remember who, I wish I could credit them, said that Matchbox 20 is available. Wouldn't have been my first choice, but I would be glad to see them.
Remember, this is an Anthems festival.
Matchbox 20 has some anthems.
So you know who's got some real anthems that's available in their tour? It has a gap in their tour that weekend.
Nickelback.
No.
Oh.
Third Eye Blind.
I know you want that. I would really love that. Would you say that they're on the same level as Jane's Addiction? I don't even know.
I don't know because I don't know who Jane's Addiction is. I'm just being perfectly honest. I don't know much about them. I don't know enough about them. So.
You remember Dave Navarro, right? Because he had that reality show like 15, 20 years ago.
Yes, that's what I know him more from.
And I know Perry Farrell because he's the guy that founded Lollapalooza, essentially. But I'm not familiar with their music. I'm just not that familiar. I know a few songs, but that's it.
But also, like, I mean, most of the time, we go to enough festivals to know that most of the time when there's a replacement, it's never as great as the...
Well, we were supposed to have had Lana Del Rey as a replacement back in 21, the Rue that didn't happen that we're talking about this week. If I'm remembering that correctly, Emma. Yeah, there were a couple of acts that had to drop out, and we were going to get her, or maybe she dropped out.
I don't remember.
See,
I have no memory of that.
This is us collectively.
I blocked all that.
Exactly. I think she may have been replaced, if I recall correctly. But yeah, that whole 21, we have a lot of memories that replaced it. We don't really have a lot of memories of the...
Hey, talk about Lana Del Rey.
Oh, gosh. Do you want to get into this?
You seen her man's?
Okay, you give us the tea on this, and then we'll go.
Okay,
yeah.
Oh, he drives the swamp tour boat.
Yeah. Okay.
In Louisiana.
Yeah.
Just look up, Google Lana Del Rey boyfriend. That's all I'm gonna say. I mean, if she's happy, but y'all, if you ever see me with a dude that looks like that, please.
No, don't be shaming.
I ain't shaming. I'm not shaming her. I'm saying if you ever see me with a dude that looks like my daddy,
oh my God,
do something with me. If I'm saying if Daniel's dead or whatever.
Oh my God.
And you see me with a dude that looks like my daddy, y'all help me out.
Hey,
help a sister out.
If both of them are happy, I am not going to judge. I'm happy for them.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, look, she's out there doing her like self-care tour just in some different ways. She's working at the Waffle House. She's having a great time with the swamp tour guy. You go, girl. You know.
Whatever.
Yeah, she doesn't have to live the stereotypical life of a celebrity. She's doing her own thing. She's getting her waffles. She's seeing her gators.
I'm not shaming.
Yeah. No, good for her. Okay. Let's change the subject now because we need to get to our totem plug, our Patreon plug, and then get to this conversation that I had with Lindsey and Shaina. We'll come back around and talk about this. I did block
out 20 and 21 from my memory.
Well, we'll talk about this after the break, after we talk with them. But first off, let's talk about our Patreon. Why don't you list everybody out first?
Okay, we've got Casey, Christy, Charmel, Jums, Sarah, David and Aurora, String Bean, Taylor, Zach and Jeremy, Amber, Andrea, JB, Sam, Austin, James, Chelsea, aka Hygiene Queen, Ryan, Chris, Dan, Ernst, Harris, Keith, Casey, Amanda, Aaron, Nick, Maddie, McFerg, Bruce, Kent and Emily, Randy, Eric and Ben, Evan, Jay, Chloe, and Sean.
Thank you, everyone. If you want to be a Patreon of the show, it is at patreon.com/Rubus. Every cent goes to the Totem Foundation. That is the opportunity to experience music. If you're new and you haven't really heard us talk about it before or haven't investigated it, it is at totemfnd.org. And if you're going to be at South Star, we're going to be there for both days. So from around 12 to 4, you can find the totem booth at the main entrance. I understand they're going to have some kind of squarch, maybe, from what I saw on the map.
I don't think it's a squarch.
We'll see. I don't know. It kind of implied that there's going to be something like that. But we'll be
squarch.
pretty close to that. You'll be able to find the totem booth. You're going to find some of our board and friends helping you make your own miniature totem, and we'll be there to tell you all about what we're up to. And we will have more to talk about that in the near future. We are trying to plan 2 events, one in Nashville and another in NYC, probably in January, February, March, something like that. We'll have more information soon. We're starting to take baby steps to get those events plotted out. And after we get past South Star, us and the board are going to be talking about, all right, how do we get our mentorships and scholarships going for 25?
I'm very excited, very, very, very excited to get those applications out for 25.
Yeah, we did very well this past year, and we should be able to improve it this year. So if you want to mentor a rookie this year, be on the lookout for that. And if you know anybody that is considering coming to their first ROO and they're in sort of a financially disadvantaged situation, send them our way to apply for the scholarship.
Let them know. Let them know. And also, we got some goodies planned for our mentors.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
That's
our
right.
mentees mostly this year. So if
more to come.
Our first time Ruvian for 25.
Yeah.
Get ready to apply.
Yeah.
So more to come on that.
Yeah, more to come on that. We have something in mind that some of our friends are helping us out with. But you know what? We'll get back around to that after South Star. We got to get through that first. It's going to be a good time. I'm so looking forward to Blink 182 ticking off Huntsville with their party mouths. This is the thing that okay, look, guys, mark my words. Huntsville can be a comparably conservative town. We are in the Deep South. There is a diverse crowd here, but people can be a little, I'm looking for the right word, but you guys probably know what I'm trying to say. Blink 182 is notoriously potty mouth. I'm just calling it now. There's going to be kind of a stink about that. So we'll see. We'll talk about that at and after South Star. So Sharla, at South Star, we're going to have kind of a mini-Roo gathering here at the house because we got a lot of friends staying with us and we're having a little bit of a party. That kind of leads us into our conversation that we had with Lindsey and Shaina. Yeah, I know you were like worried about cleaning the house, but that's okay. It's never clean at the campsite. Maybe it's not that big of a deal.
True.
But let's go talk with them about everything that went down just a little over 3 years ago when we had another hurricane kind of call off that year's route. Well, welcome back, everyone. I have 2 of the best people that we could possibly talk to when it comes to remembering everything that happened in September 3 years ago when so many of us had like a mini-Roo or a speakeasy Roo, whatever you want to call it. So first off, you remember her from a few weeks ago when she was filling in for us with Maddie. It's Shaina from Loophole.
What's up? How we doing, everybody?
We're doing fantastic. Now, you got to kind of reintroduce yourself a little bit and tell everybody about your new adventure now that you're kind of moving cities.
Okay, I can do this. So if you don't know me, hi, my name's Shaina Bradley. I'm one of the admins for Bonnaroo, Loophole to Reality. I'm also on the board for the Totem Foundation, and I'm Loophole's group camp leader. I am originally from Southern Indiana. I actually just relocated to Chicago. So anyone listening, please hang out with me. I need friends.
We got quite a few people in Chicago. I know there's a number of people from Red Roo that are up there. You got to talk to Carrie. She does a lot of the beer stuff for the beer exchange.
Oh, I can't wait. Anyone in the area, let's be friends. Let's be friends.
All right. And I've got somebody else that I want to reintroduce. I know we have a lot of new listeners these days. This is definitely somebody that you should know. Just about a half hour or so down the road from the farm in Manchester, it is one of our previous Ruvians of the year, Lindsey.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Better than we deserve, man. Now, you've got to kind of reintroduce yourself a little bit. It's been a minute since you've been on the show.
Oh, well, it actually has been a while. I'm trying to lay low these days. So my name is Lindsey. I am an old school Bonnaroovian way back from InfoRoo days, pre-Reddit, pre-InfoRoo. Been going to Bonnaroo since 2011 and haven't missed one that has happened on the farm since.
And it's usually a pretty good time for you because your birthday sometime falls on Roo weekend, right?
Yes, mostly my birthday does fall on Bonnaroo weekend, so I go out and get to celebrate with 60 to 80,000 of my really good friends.
Yeah, I've seen you celebrating that night. You threw it out pretty hard, my brother.
Hey, gotta have fun where we can.
Yeah. All right. So we're here together because we wanted to kind of remember about what happened 3 years ago when a hurricane hit us, which is funny because one just kind of moved over the south here just a couple of days ago. So that was helpful in remembering how everything went down. Lindsay, we've talked with you before about the Mini-Roo farm. So I'm going to come to you second. I'm going to do ladies first and get Shaina to tell us a little bit about the story about what happened for you. So just to set the stage for anybody who may not remember or who doesn't want to remember because that was kind of a crazy time. We had it planned that Bonnaroo was going to happen in September that year because, it was the tail end of COVID. We had all gotten our shots. We kind of knew what to do, and we were going to go in it on September. The lineup was ready to go. It was 3 days before Roo was supposed to start, I think, give or take. And we got the message, hey guys, sorry it's flooded. We're gonna have to cancel Bonnaroo this year. So many of us were like, hey, we got the time off, we got all the supplies. Let's throw something together. And Shayna, you had a really good story about like what many of the loophole group did, right?
Yes. So if I recall correctly, back then that was before Bonnaroo did Tuesday entry. And so the Maniacs said enter on Tuesday, myself and I think everyone on this call probably. I actually had a hotel reserved in Murfreesboro. I had just gotten on the interstate to leave where I left when they put that post that they canceled Bonnaroo. And the people in my car were all looking at me. I had two first timers with me and they were like, well, what do we do? And I was like, well, I already have a hotel reserved, so let's just sit down in Tennessee and we'll figure it out later. Halfway down the road, part of our loophole group, which I didn't know you could do this, but they found a plot of land where we could just reserve it on Airbnb to do a campground. So we threw what we called loophole roo, or the Airbnb host name was Rick. We called it Rickaroo. So we had about 20 of us. We reserved it for the whole time of Bonnaroo. And we just set up camp. We had our friends that played music play. We set up a bonfire. And we made the most of what we could. And it was so much fun. I think the funniest part of it, well, now it's funny to me, was that where we were at, we had no service. So I'm getting there, setting everything up. I go back into town to help redirect some friends that are in and get gas. And I had like 5 missed calls, 4 texts from different people that were like, hey, we saw Bonnaroo canceled. Are you all right? And then they start freaking out because I didn't have service. But, we were able to make the most of what we could do with what happened. And I think that was what was so great, because I also saw like on Twitter at that time that other festivals were like opening their doors to Bonnaroovians, and there was other groups that were making things happen because, like we said, everyone had this time off. We had everything packed, and it's like, well, do we just go home? No, like let's do something at least.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there are so many different of these like Mini-Roos that popped up. I think I counted at least like 5 or 6 that I know of. Our friend Christy, who goes by Cosmic Christy sometimes, she was over here visiting with us just about a week or so ago, and she was telling us about this impromptu EDM jam fest that they put on just up the road from here in Huntsville. Now, I'm a little biased because the one that I was at that weekend was honestly just as good as any real Bonnaroo experience that I've ever had. We've taken to calling this place the Other Farm, and long time listeners will know that Lindsay is kind of the papaphimilius of the Other Farm. Lindsay, do you want to kind of tell the story about how that whole thing came to be, not just at that Mini-Roo, but like over the pandemic and everything?
Yeah, I can do that. And one question for you, Daniel, is
Yeah.
are we recording the video with this as well?
Oh no, we're audio only, my man. We're not the
Okay.
podcast
All right,
around
no
here.
worries. So
Yeah.
I was going to say I could share some screen and share some really awesome
Well,
photographs.
send them to me. We'll put them on Twitter and
All
stuff.
right, we'll do that. So, little bit about the Mini-Roo farm. So I have a little piece of land that I bought several years ago that we nicknamed my 13-acre hot dog cooker. We bought it to basically allow our 2 boys to run wild instead of around the house. And when Bonnaroo canceled in 2020 due to COVID, I had made friends with Daniel the year prior, and I reached out to Daniel and said, "Hey, man, I've got this place. I think we could throw a party here." And by that point in time, we were already, done with. We were so over the lockdowns and everything, and so we discussed it. We figured out a way that I could camp some people at my property, and Daniel and I put together some ideas. We brought in some local bands here to my area. We brought in a band or two from Huntsville, and we threw a party. We put lights in the trees. We lined out some campsites with some paint from the soccer field that I managed to get a hold of, and we had a great time. And we ended up doing two more after that. And we did one that September, and then we did one the next spring that we actually got stuck when it was really cold. We were out there in sweatshirts and sweatpants and just freezing and sitting. One of the best memories from that particular one was sitting at the bar with Daniel and Barry Corder from the What podcast, and Russ as well, and listening to Barry tell stories till 3 a.m. in the morning.
Oh my God. He threw one on tonight.
I have a Polaroid that I believe Mitchell took, but I don't remember anything except not being able to sit on my stool. I was laughing so hard at some story that Barry was telling that I don't remember what it was. I don't think any of us do.
No, he doesn't. Mitchell doesn't. I don't. You don't. Nobody does. We all know it was hilarious, but we have no idea what it was about.
Yep. It was one of those incredible Barry Quarter stories that was just, it was a great experience. But moving to 2021 in September, we had made plans for Bonnaroo, and Shane, I do believe it was Tuesday entry, because I think a lot of us were scheduled for Tuesday entry. I know me and some friends of ours from North Carolina that we had met at the same time that had been to several Mini-Roos. We had sort of all made plans. Hey, we're going to meet and go in together. And we normally camp in RV. And so when they pushed it back from Tuesday to Wednesday only entry, we sort of didn't know what was going on. I already had the time off. My friends were already in Manchester at the old KOA campground. And we decided to go up to Common John and hang out and just see what happened. Prior to that, Daniel and I had some conversations. Okay, Daniel, plan A, we go in normal. Plan B, we go in on Wednesday. Plan C, what the heck are we going to do? And we sort of had laid the groundwork saying that, okay, if this thing cancels, we'll do something at my place.
Yeah, and I remember I had spoken with like about a dozen people who were kind of our constants, people that always came to our Mini-Roo event saying like, hey, this is our backup plan. I've talked with Lindsey. If the worst should happen, head this way. So we had a lot of people already ready to pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And thankfully we did that because it made it really easily. So story goes, I went to Manchester, met up with Robert and Allison from North Carolina, some really good Bonnaroovian friends of ours that we've camped with them since we met them in 2019. And picked them up and another couple that was camping next to them at the KOA. We went up to Common John to meet up with the rest of the Camp Bonnaroo people. So Kevin Barnes and several of those others. And we hung out just sort of waiting to see what was going to happen. I didn't have a good feeling about it. So we're sitting all around the table and our phones go off and we see the message about Bonnaroo being canceled. And it's just like, oh. And I think I had 30 seconds of grieving, and I was on the phone. Hey, porta potty company, I need 4 porta potties as soon as possible delivered to my place. Messaging at the same time. Hey, my place, we're open. We'll figure it out. Just come. And the next day I went down to, or it might have been even that evening, I'd already gone down. The creek, it was flowing. We got this really pretty creek. The creek was just rushing. There was down trees in the creek. There was standing water in the middle of my field. I'm thinking, are we really going to pull this off? And that's why
I remember messaging everyone. And sorry, Lindsey, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like I remember messaging everyone and saying like, hey, bring a thing of hay just in case.
Yeah.
To get traction for the cars and stuff.
Yeah. And I think we were going to have everybody just come in Friday. It might have been Thursday night. I was letting some people on property, but for sure Friday come out. And sure enough, everyone showed up that we had talked with. We stacked people down underneath the trees. We stacked them in the middle of the field. We set up camp, and it was one of the most amazing experiences to see all of the people that we had come together, and everybody was sharing. It felt like we were right in the Bonnaroo campgrounds. The way everybody was, right next to each other. Some people were cooking. We had one of the main sponsor for the Redaroo, Camp Redaroo beer exchange,
Pontoon.
Pontoon Brewing showed up with the beer that they had set aside for the beer exchange. Yeah, it was like, so they pulled up in an SUV and they opened the back hatch, and it's like the sun just shone down in this perfect, beautiful light. It was full of beer. It
That
was
That's
was
amazing.
it was also all almost gone by the end of that weekend too. It was
Nope,
kind of,
all of
that
it was
was
gone. There was not a can left to be had.
kind of a rager. Now, you mentioned something, and I want to throw it to Shayna for this. One thing I loved about being there with you is we had around 100 people, give or take, and it kind of turned into like kind of like a modern version of a commune a little bit because we all had stuff to share. Everybody was kind to one another. We were all like pulling together and everything. Shayna, I wonder how it was for you guys over there at your version of your Mini-Roo. Did it kind of turn into that too, where everybody like pulled together and it wasn't really necessarily a festival? We just created a very miniature city for a couple of days.
It most definitely was, because like we had, I think about 20, 25 of us there, and most of it was that internal loophole group. And so, we had it set up. We're like, here's Tent City. We had the moon mats on the hill. We had all the glow sticks set up. The owner of the Airbnb brought some beers down. I think they were either Miller Lite or Bush Light or something. He's like, will you guys drink these? My sister brought these. We're like, hell yeah, we will.
Hell yeah,
Um,
brother.
Hell yeah, brother, you already know. And so it was so fun. Like we did set it all up as like a big like kind of compound area. We had group food, we had beer, and where we were staying at, there was like a hike to this really beautiful waterfall. I unfortunately went home the day they went hiking, and so there's pretty views there, but we all kind of just jam packed in together. It was one of our group members' birthdays as well too, so I still brought all the decorations I had for camp. I made a huge birthday zone, and like we had everything set up there. We had our friends that brought their instruments, and so they played for us, and then we just put on a speaker, and it really did feel like Bonnaroo. It did. The second I got home, got in my car, is when it hit me that Bonnaroo did not happen, and I cried so hard for like 5 minutes, and I was like, "All right, get over it. It's happening next year." But it was so fun, and I think it was much needed. If I would have just came home and done nothing, I think that would have been worse. Like that would have been so bad. But being able to have that opportunity, and like I was seeing online too, like people were like, "You can come stay with us. Like we're throwing these parties." Everything was happening everywhere. So it's like that's what the Bonnaroo community to me is. So it's just where you're at, their doors open, and everyone just comes together.
I want to get your guys' opinion on this, but that particular week when so many people had their own versions of Bonnaroo, where we were kind of sort of emulating what we actually do on the real farm in Manchester, but doing it for ourselves with our own set of rules and everything. It kind of felt like that was this point that the community really evolved. Where, yeah, we all get together most Junes over in Manchester, and that's kind of the center point for our whole community. But it felt like that week we kind of evolved from it being only orbiting there. It felt like the community became something that owned itself, where like if it comes down to it, we don't have to go to Manchester. There's so many people in all of these different cities. We can get together different times of the year and have our own little mini Bonnaroo, even if a storm isn't causing it. I was curious if you guys kind of felt the same way.
100% I did. Like actually just this past weekend, it was with my electric forest group, but we threw an fall rest from when it was canceled the same year up in Wisconsin. And like my friends that performed made their own set list, and like they performed for the first time. And it was so fun. It's something that I think that happening really sucked. It was really hard, but it was such an eye-opening moment of just boom, the Bonnaroo community just exploded. And like we still do these things throughout the year. Like we don't do it just in Bonnaroo. Let's try and plan another get together. Why do we have to wait a year to hang out? We don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Lindsay, you've been
I
part of
agree
this.
100%. Oh, sorry, Daniel.
Oh, well, I
Um,
was kind of teeing you up. I was going to say, like, me and you and a lot of our circle of friends around here in like Central Tennessee and North Alabama do it, what, like 2 or 3 times a year, it feels like, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, we'll try and get together at your place for Halloween or New Year's, or whether we, go out somewhere in Huntsville and meet up. But yeah, the gatherings that we've had at my place have been they've been eye-opening, just having the people together, and the vast different numbers of people. Even just in a small setting, the differences in how we can all just get along and have a good time. And really, that one in 2021, like I said, we were all bummed, and we just figured out a way to make the best of it. And it's truly one of the most special memories that I have, especially after COVID.
I would go as far to say as that our kind of unofficial self-made Bonnaroo that we had in 21, I would rank among my favorite Bonnaroos, even though it wasn't an official one, because all of us got closer. We got to have like deeper talks than we would have if we weren't distracted by like big shows on the actual farm, And some of those other Mini-Roos we put together, especially in 2020, we really tried to emulate the real Roo. We had a lineup and a schedule and everything, but with that one we were just like, we'll do whatever whenever we feel like it, and it was awesome.
Yeah, very true. It was, we'll do whatever we want, and just have a good time. And hey, if this happens, it's great. If something else happens, it's not. We had the folks from the Monkey Bar show up again, and I think we had 60 some odd people just sitting down in the creek in chairs, cooling off. And here comes someone with a tray full of drinks that hand job in the creek, that if you visited the Monkey Bar this year and you had a hand job in the creek, that's where it originated.
Now wait a minute, we got to retell that story so you don't sound too gross right now. Like, that was Dave from the Monkey Bar. That was his version of the mixed drink Sex on the Beach. We were like, we're not that fancy and we have a creek, so we're going to call it that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he was bringing tray upon tray of drinks down into the creek, and just you'd hear screams of Bonnaroo down in the creek, just echoing through the little valley where our place is, and it was absolutely cool.
Shaina, did you guys have any like inside jokes or like fun stories that cropped up from your gathering over there like that?
I feel like if I don't share this, it's going to be held over my head so hard, because it still gets held over my head. The one night that we were all playing music and everything, to be honest with you, I don't know what started it, but I'm sure if you guys have seen me on the farm, you just take one little thing and I'm going to just set it on fire and explode it. But I started running around and telling people, I'm like, you're either a moon mat person or you're a chair person. You're sitting in the chairs or you're on the moon mats. And like, I was dividing everyone. I'm like, are you a moon mat person? And I started sitting in the chairs, mind you. So then I contradicted myself entirely. And they're like, oh, are you a moon mat person now? Which I do own a moon mat. I have conformed. So that was one of them. And I think also throughout that too, like, it was, with our group, it was just like, okay, it helped us open our eyes to see like who in our group really brings what. And like for myself, I exploded on decor. I'm like, we need this for lights. We need glow sticks. Like, we were really in the woods when at night it was dark. So like that helped me like evolve to understand like, all right, as a group leader, this is what we should all bring, or at least if someone can bring all these things, help do that. But yeah, the moon mat people, chair people story, it still lives on to this day. And I'm a moon mat person. Everyone that's on Loophole listening, I already know. I know.
You just mentioned something else that kind of made me think of something that happened that week too. I feel like that week also grew a lot of leaders in our community too. For a long time at Roo, I think the community kind of just rode along with whatever, Superfly or C3 or AC, whoever it may be, have done for us. But after that, it feels like there was a lot more people that took charge of what's happening in the campgrounds. And I'm thinking about like Burning Man, because me and Charlotte just came from there. That the community builds everything for itself. That's not the case at Roo, because it's more of a traditional music festival. But it does feel like a lot of the things in the campgrounds have really kind of exponentially grown since that week, because now, like you were just talking about, Shaina, a lot of us know how to make this stuff happen, and we've taken it to the actual farm and not just a Mini-Roo farm.
Oh, absolutely. Like each year, I mean, for myself, and it's not just like I go to other festivals. So like I've been investing in, like, each year I buy something that's more quality brand of things that is more high gear for group camping. Like next year, I'm investing in this really nice Easy Up like shade thing we had at Forest. this past year. And when it stormed, we were throwing a party in the campgrounds. Like nothing was going to stop that because we were covered, as well as these nice ground mats. So if it rains, I bring Scotch Guard every year now. I'm kind of like traumatized from rain, and I'm like, everyone spray your freaking tent down right now. That is the rule. Set your tent up, and I'm spraying it down.
Yeah, exactly. We learned a lot like that. Now, Lindsey, you're also good friends with a couple from Texas that I feel like kind of really amped up their game and became a lot about contributing back to the community. You want to tell us the taco story real quick?
Yeah. So,
Not taco
while
from the What
we're-
podcast, actual tacos.
yeah, not our good buddy Lord Taco, but the actual Texas brisket breakfast taco people. So while we were at the table, hanging out at Common John, and right when we got the call, I'm there with a group of people that I know, and there's this other couple, and they're looking at me, just slamming the phone, texting, slamming another phone if I had had one, and the panic on my face of what are we going to be able to pull this off? And we're telling everybody, and they're like, hey, can we come too? And I'm looking at them, and I feel bad about this because I have to be somewhat selective of the people that show up, because we don't want somebody who's going to be that guy or and we've had that happen out there before, and we just want to make sure that we know who's coming. And I'd ask, well, where are you from? And they were from Texas. And well, I'm from Texas too, so we can kind of relate. And they go, well, we brought 250 tacos to hand out for breakfast. And I said, you're in. Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah, sold. And so we got to talking, and I learned they do it every year. So their big thing is Sam will smoke several briskets prior to Bonnaroo and freeze it. They will get eggs. They will get cheese and tortillas from HEB down in Texas. So there's a free plug for them. They will then bring some famous barbecue sauce.
Salt Lick, baby.
Lick in Austin, Texas.
That's my favorite barbecue in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what they do is they will make breakfast tacos with brisket or without, and serve them. They'll put them in a tote, and they will walk the campground handing them out for free. That's their give back to Bonnaroo. And they've since bought an RV, and they've got these great flags that say tacos on them. And if you walk by during a certain time of morning, they'll be cooking the tacos, and a line forms outside of our camp, outside of camp, and people line up to get their tacos. And then when they have extras, they'll walk the rest of the campground area, handing them out, trading them for whatever, or just doing their Bonnaroo thing. And I believe this year they were in the neighborhood of 350 tacos handed out throughout Bonnaroo.
So you know what's crazy is I ran into them on Wednesday during the pre-party. And we were talking, and they were like, "Come see the flag," and like I just had a full moment.
Yeah,
I
we
need to
were
get
over there with
them.
the whole group. Yeah,
I need to get with them because my group, we make walking tacos every year. And last year I was on a megaphone, like, please come eat tacos. We made so much food. Like, that's just something that my whole group does, but then we give it away to everyone in group that's nearby.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have to plan a breakfast lunch taco day, because like my dad butchers cows, and I just take all the meat there. I'm like, let's just bring it.
Yeah, Sam and Lauren are very special people. Hopefully they'll hear the podcast. They've camped with us ever since the September Mini-Roo that we had in 2021. So they're part of our core group, their family. We've got a Facebook chat that we regularly talk about planning for Bonnaroo. I think one of the things that I've proposed we do is, I've seen these giant inflatable bars with a pool around them. So we're going to we're thinking of doing that, but it probably won't happen.
If you need to blow up like markers, we had it for our wrestling ring this year. So I've got you. I've already owned them. Just tell me and I'll bring them.
But Lindsey, thank you for sharing that. I love that story. Sharla and I were talking a little bit a couple of weeks ago about how we would love to see the community support itself more with stuff like that. And I feel like they are really leading by example with just being so charitable and generous with literally any Ruvian that happens to walk by and want tacos. I love that so much. Well, guys, I have loved having this little check-in and just kind of remembering about what happened 3 years ago. Like I mentioned, I really feel like it was such a positive turning point for the community, even though it sucked at the time for like a day or two. We're like, man, I can tell you from my perspective, I really wanted to see Tame Impala on my birthday that weekend, but it was just not meant to be. Maybe it'll happen this year, Brad, if you're listening, by the way. But
yeah, at Brad, put the 2021 lineup as 2025, the lineup that never was.
Exactly. But hey, guess what? We get to have a little bit more of a Mini-Roo experience here in about 2 weeks or a little less now, because Shaina and Lindsey, you're both coming to Huntsville for South Star, and so many of our mutual friends are also going to be down. You guys are both going to be at my house that Friday night. I can't wait to host you here.
I'm so excited. I've never been to Huntsville. I'm so excited. It's going to be so fun. It's like a Mini-Roo reunion. I've been counting down on my calendar. I'm like, I get to see Bonnaroo so soon.
Yep. I can't wait for that. I've been looking forward to it. I know I've got a core crew that's going to be joining me as well. We'll be camping just south of there, but we will be at the entire fest. So
I love it, guys. I am biased, but I love that we're going to have pretty much a Mini-Roo in my own backyard at my place here in less than 2 weeks. You're both going to be here. So many of our friends. Well, guys, thank you so much for helping me go down to 3 years ago. It's a bittersweet thing to remember, but like I said, I really feel like it grew the community in all of the best ways. And I'm glad that you could share your stories with us tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us too.
Yeah, appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been a long time since I've been on the podcast with you guys, and it's good to see a good friend Shaina again. I just met Shaina at the pre-party.
Yep.
Back behind the stage. It was awesome to hang out and dance and groove and have a good time.
Hey, man.
So fun.
At Roo, everybody's friends. There's just a handful of friends you haven't met yet.
You know, Daniel, you say that, it's funny. One of the most amazing things about Bonnaroo to me is how many people I run into that are connected. So what is it? 7 ways of Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
It seems like I run into 5 ways of Daniel Horton at Bonnaroo.
I don't know, but maybe that just shows how long I've been going, because I've gotten to know so many people. I don't know. Everybody knows you. You were Ruvian of the Year.
I'm just a regular old farm boy. So
hey, that's a good place to be a farm boy.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I'll see you here in just a little over a week and a half here at my place.
All right. Take care, bro. See you.
Awesome.
Love you guys.
See you, dude.
So thank you, Shaina and Lindsey. That was awesome.
Yeah, Lindsey is a stand-up dude. We already know that because he was kind of elected Ruvian of the Year that year.
He was Ruvian of the Year.
Yeah. Shaina is also amazing. If you don't know her, she is a get things done kind of woman. She is awesome. I really feel like she is one of the main people making some awesome things happen in the group camping area these days.
Shaina is one of the most amazing people that I've ever met, ever.
Oh, yeah. We are so blessed that she's on the board with Totem, because she has really taken charge with so many things. And I can't wait to host both of them here at that shindig at our house.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yeah. You know, apparently they only just met this past year. I love it that there is this big circle of friends and everybody's friends, even if you haven't met yet.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I love that so much. So that's one of the greatest things about going to these kind of festivals, whether it be South Star or Roo or whatever it is, Electric Forest, Burning Man, I don't know.
It's like, oh, you know so-and-so, and then that person will know so-and-so.
Like, oh, yeah.
Such and such. It's like this big interweb of connection.
The community is the gift that keeps on giving, because you got places that crashed in other towns.
Right.
You got people that are friends of friends. It's amazing. All right, so are we about ready for South Star? Do we have our house ready? We got so many people coming over to crash. I know many people that are listening right now are coming to crash. Are we ready? Do we have anything else to do?
I'm ready. I'm 1,000% ready.
I love this because our house is turning into Outeroo for this festival.
We got to make sure that toilet flushes back.
I think I fixed that. I got a bunch of cleaner for that thing back there. It's a lot better.
Good.
I'm going to leave a sign back there as like, please hold down this thing for like 5 or 10 seconds to make sure it flushes. Yeah. Our house is a little quirky, you know, like it's not exactly a museum. We have a lot of people coming all the time to come crash with us when there's a show with the Orion, or for this, obviously, other things. And by the way, if you're listening to this, there's a pretty good chance that you're a friend or a friend of a friend, like we were just talking about. We've mentioned this before. Hit us up.
Yeah, there's one guy that stays here all the time.
Yeah. And that's totally cool. Like, we have a guest room back here. We got the Rubus. It's got, like, what, 5 or 6 beds in it? You know, we never really talked about this. We're just kind of BSing and featuring that talk that I had with Lindsey and Shaina as the main content of this episode. I don't know if we've ever really talked about, like, how the bus is set up here at home, right?
It's a bus.
Well, I know. But, like, look, we got people coming to visit at our place for the first time. Maybe we should kind of set the stage. So, like, you know, we have a standard suburban house, like 3 bedrooms. It's just me and Sharla that live here. We got the guest room and kind of like a little game room in the back. It doesn't need to be that big. But the Rubus is parked to the side of the house. So our house is at the bottom of a hill at a dead-end cul-de-sac. And you don't even really see the bus until you come right down here at the edge of the driveway, right? There's like a really big crepe myrtle bush that's blocking it. Sure. Charlotte's like, yeah, don't lead people directly to our house.
No, I was thinking about something else. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. But anyway, it's over there on the side. It's kind of nestled out of the way, and I can run an electric cord over there to turn the lights on and everything. And I love it because it kind of acts as a guest house when we have
a guest house?
Yeah. Did I say guest house? Yeah, guest the house. No, a guest house over here to the side because it's out of the way. People can go over there, and they're not bothering us. We're not bothering them. It's this whole separate thing, right?
Sure.
There just isn't a bathroom in there, of course. I'm setting the stage for people that are coming to visit, I suppose.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. We just never really talked about this. It stays out of the way. The one problem that I have with parking it on the side of the house is once or twice a year I have to pressure wash the darn thing because it's parked underneath a bunch of trees and all the weird drippings from the trees whenever it rains like it just
the tree
did.
drippings?
Yeah. Well, it gets all gunky on the paint job, so that's why I have to pressure wash it and apply some new paint before Rue every year. There's somebody that's finding this interesting, I promise.
You know, our neighbor had his house, like, blurred out on Google Maps.
I saw that.
Yeah, how do you do that?
I don't know. Do you feel like we should blur out our house or blur out the bus?
No.
No?
But,
Some people are just really concerned about privacy, and I get it.
Why?
Why not? I don't know. We may have to blur out the house after we throw this big party at our house in 2 weeks for South Star. It's going to be wild. All right, Sharla, did you want to circle back around to the Gator Man thing that we were talking about, or do you want to get out of here for the week?
I want to get out of here.
You already incriminated yourself enough. Look, I did
incriminate
you
myself.
go, girl. You get you a Gator Man.
I'm not shaming. I'm just saying for me personally, if you die and y'all see me with some dude that looks like my dad, please, for the love of God, help me.
Look, just some normal dude having a shot with like a wonderful lady that can really sing like that gives me hope for all of us dudes. Like if something
You don't look like that.
if something were to ever happen with you, I was like, oh, thank goodness, I've got a shot.
You don't look like that though. That's not a normal.
I don't look like Florida man.
Yeah, that Louisiana man.
Louisiana man.
You don't look like that guy.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Either Louisiana man.
I would rate you as above average.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, thank you, I guess. Well, look, either Louisiana man or Florida man is going to be out there wrestling those gators or crocs or whatever. So maybe they aren't that too different.
This is true. If she gets attacked by an alligator
yeah,
on a swamp tour,
you got that guy to protect you. He knows how to do it. He's like a Southern Steve Irwin out there. He can bring that gator down.
He's out there protecting her from alligators and crocodiles and catching her some crawdaddies and whatever.
Crawdaddy? Is he crawdaddy?
Yeah,
he's crawdaddy.
That's what they call him in Louisiana.
Crawdaddy.
We call him crawfish, but...
Oh, I thought that guy was the
I
crawdaddy.
thought he was the crawdaddy.
He is the crawdaddy.
No, the little crawfish. Shut up.
I thought you meant that dude himself. Okay, we are completely off the rails now. How do you think about getting out of here?
Crawdaddy.
The crawdaddy. The crawdaddy would be a great wrestling gimmick. You got this guy that's like this Cajun man.
No.
And like that's what his wrestling persona is.
No.
The crawdaddy.
No.
That would be great.
No, it was Jimmy Hills and the intern.
That does sound like a wrestler from the 80s. All right, we were even further off the rails. So let's get out of here.
The best wrestling gimmick was Jimmy Hills and the interns, but he had a snake, and it was Julius Squeezer.
How was that not related to Jake the Snake?
That was...
As a whole separate thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Julius Squeezer was the snake.
I'm glad we could bring this up and clarify.
I got
that.
an autographed photo.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Wait, Since we had Shaina on this week, I think we can have one last conversation before we get out of here. Yeah. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
Jimmy Hills.
The Macho Man. Mine's the Macho Man. You can't beat the Macho Man. He's amazing.
Okay, for real though?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to know who this is.
Who?
Adrian Street.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. But no, for me, you can't beat the Macho Man.
Adrian Street.
Look, if you go back and watch those promos where he's giving those like interviews talking about who he's about to fight or whatever, like cup of coffee in the big time. Nothing beats Randy Savage. He was the greatest. R.I.P. I love him. With that said, let's get out of here before we get even crazier. These are the kind of conversations you have in our household. Everybody, get out there and radiate positivity. We'll see many of you here in just about a week and a half here in Huntsville. See you guys soon.
Bye.